alternate histories and what-if scenarios, the outbreak of World War III presents a compelling and thought-provoking scenario to explore. Imagining a world where global tensions escalate to the point of all-out war raises important questions about the role of international organizations, such as the United Nations, in averting or managing such a catastrophic event. In a hypothetical situation where World War III breaks out, the response of the United Nations would have been crucial in shaping the course of the conflict and its aftermath. The UN, established in the aftermath of World War II with the primary goal of maintaining international peace and security, would have faced immense pressure to intervene and mediate between the warring parties. One possible scenario could involve the UN Security Council convening emergency sessions to address the escalating crisis, with member states presenting their perspectives and proposing resolutions to contain the conflict. The Secretary General of the UN would likely play a key role in diplomatic efforts to broker ceasefires and negotiations between the conflicting parties. Furthermore, the UN peacekeeping forces could be deployed to conflict zones to protect civilians, monitor ceasefires, and facilitate humanitarian aid delivery. The General Assembly of the UN would also be a platform for member states to voice their concerns and seek collective solutions to end the war and prevent further escalation. However, the effectiveness of the United Nations in responding to World War III would depend on the cooperation of its member states, the political will of major powers, and the ability to navigate complex geopolitical dynamics. The outbreak of a global conflict of such magnitude would test the limits of international diplomacy and multilateral cooperation, highlighting the challenges and opportunities for the UN to fulfill its mandate in a rapidly evolving and crisis-ridden world. Exploring the alternate history of how the United Nations could have responded to World War III offers a fascinating lens through which to examine the complexities of conflict resolution, diplomacy, and the pursuit of peace in a world on the brink of destruction. In the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, one intriguing topic that often captivates the imagination is the role of technology in a hypothetical World War III. Imagine a world where advanced weaponry, cyber warfare, and artificial intelligence are at the forefront of military strategies and conflicts. In this alternate reality, technology would have played a pivotal role in shaping the outcomes of such a devastating global conflict. With the rapid advancements in military technology, it is plausible to envision scenarios where autonomous drones, unmanned vehicles, and sophisticated surveillance systems are deployed on a massive scale in World War III. These technological innovations could potentially revolutionize the nature of warfare, leading to highly strategic and precise military operations. In a hypothetical World War III scenario, cyber warfare would also be a critical component, with nations engaging in digital attacks to disrupt enemy communication networks, compromise critical infrastructure, and gain strategic advantages. The use of artificial intelligence in military applications could further escalate the conflict, with AI-driven systems making split-second decisions on the battlefield and potentially altering the course of the war. Moreover, the development of advanced weaponry, such as directed energy weapons, railguns, and hypersonic missiles, could introduce new dimensions of destructive power and speed to the conflict. The impact of such cutting-edge technology on the outcome of World War III would be profound, potentially shaping the future of global geopolitics and warfare. In this alternate history scenario, the role of technology in World War III would not only redefine the battlefield, but also raise ethical and keen moral questions about the use of advanced weaponry and artificial intelligence in warfare. As we delve into the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, exploring the potential consequences of technological advancements in a hypothetical World War III offers a thought-provoking glimpse into a possible future shaped by innovation and conflict. Imagine a world where history took a different turn, where events unfolded in unexpected ways, leading to alternate realities and intriguing what-if scenarios. One of the most fascinating topics in this realm is the idea of World War III and the key battlegrounds that could have shaped the outcome of such a conflict. In a hypothetical scenario where World War III breaks out, The key battlegrounds would likely involve regions with strategic importance, such as the Korean Peninsula, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and the South China Sea. The Korean Peninsula, with its long-standing tensions between North and South Korea, as well as the involvement of major world powers like the United States and China, would undoubtedly be a critical battleground in World War III. The possibility of a conflict erupting in this region, with the potential for nuclear escalation, is a chilling prospect that highlights the delicate balance of power in East Asia. Moving to the Middle East, the region's complex geopolitical landscape and abundance of natural resources would make it a hotly contested battleground in any global conflict. Conflicts in countries like Syria, Iraq, and Iran could easily escalate into a wider regional war, drawing in various world powers and shaping the course of World War III. In Eastern Europe, the historical tensions between Russia and NATO countries would likely come to a head in a hypothetical World War III scenario. The Baltic states, Ukraine, and the Black Sea region could become key battlegrounds, with the potential for conventional and hybrid warfare tactics to be employed by both sides. Lastly, the South China Sea stands out as a crucial battleground due to the ongoing territorial disputes between China and neighboring countries, as well as the presence of major naval powers like the United States. Control over this strategic waterway would have significant implications for global trade and military dominance, making it a key focus in any potential conflict. In exploring the key battlegrounds of World War III in alternate histories and what-if scenarios, we are reminded of the fragility of peace and the importance of diplomatic efforts to prevent such catastrophic events from becoming a reality. The implications of a global conflict of this scale are vast and sobering, underscoring the need for cooperation and dialogue to ensure a more peaceful future for all nations. World War III, a hypothetical global conflict that was narrowly avoided in the past, would have had profound effects on the civilian population around the world. The potential devastation and chaos that would have ensued from such a conflict are chilling to consider. With the advancement of technology and the presence of nuclear weapons, the consequences of World War III would have been catastrophic on an unprecedented scale. In the event of World War III breaking out, civilians would have faced widespread destruction, displacement, and loss of life. Entire cities could have been reduced to rubble, leaving countless people homeless and vulnerable. The psychological impact on the civilian population would have been immense, as fear and uncertainty gripped communities worldwide. The breakdown of infrastructure and essential services would have further exacerbated the humanitarian crisis, making it difficult for people to access basic necessities such as food, water, and medical care. Moreover, the long-term effects of World War III would have been felt for generations to come. The environmental impact of such a conflict could have been devastating, with widespread pollution, radiation, and other forms of environmental degradation posing significant health risks to survivors. The social fabric of societies would have been torn apart, leading to profound societal changes and challenges in rebuilding and recovery. Overall, the civilian population would have borne the brunt of the suffering caused by World War III, highlighting the importance of conflict prevention and diplomacy in ensuring global peace and security. The mere thought of such a catastrophic event serves as a stark reminder of the fragile nature of our world and the urgent need for cooperation and understanding among nations to prevent such a scenario from ever becoming a reality. Imagine a world where history took a different turn and World War III erupted. The outbreak of such a catastrophic event would have triggered varying reactions from different countries across the globe. In the United States, the government would likely have swiftly mobilized its military forces and implemented emergency measures to protect its citizens and strategic assets. The country's strong military capabilities and alliances would have positioned it as a key player in the conflict, determining the course of the war. In Russia, the leadership would have been prepared to defend its interests aggressively, potentially escalating tensions with other major powers. The country's vast arsenal of nuclear weapons would have been a significant factor in shaping the dynamics of the conflict. China, as a rising global power, would have sought to assert its influence and protect its economic interests. The country's strategic calculations would have been crucial in determining its stance in the war and the alliances it would forge. European countries, particularly those in NATO, would have faced a critical decision on whether to honor their defense commitments and engage in the conflict. The outbreak of World War III would have tested the unity and resolve of the alliance, with each member state weighing the risks and benefits of intervention. In the Middle East, countries already embroiled in regional conflicts would have faced further instability and violence. The outbreak of a global war would have exacerbated existing tensions and reshaped alliances in the region. Overall, the outbreak of World War III would have unleashed a wave of chaos and uncertainty across the world, with countries scrambling to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape and protect their interests. The responses of different countries to the conflict would have had far-reaching consequences, shaping the course of history in unforeseen ways. In the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, imagining how the media would have covered World War III can offer a fascinating glimpse into a hypothetical world wrought with tension and conflict. Picture a scenario where global superpowers engage in a devastating conflict, triggering widespread chaos and uncertainty. In such a scenario, the media would likely play a crucial role in shaping public perception and understanding of the unfolding events. News outlets around the world would be working around the clock to provide real-time updates on the progress of the war, reporting on key developments such as military strategies, battles, casualties, and diplomatic efforts. Social media platforms would be abuzz with citizen journalists sharing first-hand accounts and footage, providing a more immediate and unfiltered view of the conflict. In this alternate reality, the media landscape would be dominated by a sense of urgency and gravity, with reporters risking their lives to bring the truth to the public. Sensational headlines and breaking news alerts would compete for attention, while experts and analysts would offer insights and predictions on the potential outcomes of the war. As the conflict escalates, propaganda and misinformation would likely run rampant, further muddying the waters and complicating the public's understanding of the situation. Governments and military officials would seek to control the narrative, using the media as a tool to rally support for their cause and shape public opinion. Amidst the chaos and uncertainty of World War III, the media would serve as a critical lifeline for people seeking information and understanding in a world gripped by fear and uncertainty. The power of journalism to inform, educate, and unite would be put to the ultimate test, highlighting the crucial role that media plays in times of crisis and conflict. World War III, had it occurred, would have undoubtedly left a lasting impact on the environment. The deployment of modern warfare tactics, including nuclear weapons, would have led to widespread destruction and devastation across the globe. The long-term environmental consequences of such a conflict would have been catastrophic. One of the most immediate effects of World War III would have been the release of massive amounts of pollutants and toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. The detonation of nuclear weapons would have created vast mushroom clouds, spreading radioactive fallout far and wide. This radiation would have contaminated the air, water, and soil, leading to long-term health risks for both humans and wildlife. Additionally, the destruction of cities and industrial centers would have resulted in the release of hazardous materials into the environment. Oil refineries, chemical plants, and other industrial facilities would have been targeted during the conflict, leading to oil spills, chemical leaks, and other environmental disasters. These pollutants would have further degraded air and water quality, harming ecosystems and biodiversity. The widespread destruction of infrastructure and transportation networks would have also had a significant impact on the environment. The disruption of supply chains would have led to food shortages, water scarcity, and other humanitarian crises. The loss of essential services, such as electricity and clean water, would have hampered recovery efforts and exacerbated environmental degradation. In the aftermath of World War III, the global climate would have likely been altered due to the release of greenhouse gases and other pollutants. The destruction of forests, wetlands, and other natural habitats would have reduced the planet's ability to absorb carbon dioxide, leading to further climate change and environmental instability. Overall, the long-term environmental consequences of World War III would have been severe and far-reaching. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of diplomacy, conflict resolution, and environmental stewardship in preserving the health and well-being of our planet. World War III was a hypothetical scenario that could have drastically changed history as we know it. If such a conflict had occurred, the refugee crisis would have posed a significant challenge for nations around the world. With widespread destruction and displacement, millions of people would have been forced to flee their homes in search of safety and stability. Governments and organizations would have been faced with the daunting task of providing aid and shelter to these refugees, while also managing security concerns and potential conflicts between different groups. The sheer scale of the crisis would have required unprecedented levels of coordination and cooperation on a global scale. Countries would have had to come together to establish safe zones, refugee camps, and transportation routes to ensure the well-being of those displaced by the war. Humanitarian organizations would have played a crucial role in providing essential services such as food, water, and medical care to those in need. However, the refugee crisis during World War III would not have been without its challenges and controversies. Competition for limited resources, cultural differences, and political tensions could have strained the efforts to assist refugees and may have led to conflicts between host communities and displaced populations. Ultimately, the handling of the refugee crisis during World War III would have required a delicate balance of compassion, pragmatism, and cooperation among nations. The decisions made during such a tumultuous time would have had far-reaching consequences for the future of humanity and the world as a whole. In the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, the use of propaganda could have played a pivotal role in shaping the outcome of World War III. Propaganda, which involves spreading biased or misleading information to influence public opinion, has been a powerful tool in shaping narratives and rallying support during times of conflict. If we delve into a hypothetical scenario where propaganda was heavily utilized during World War III, we can imagine a world where misinformation and manipulation were rampant. Governments and military forces could have used propaganda to demonize their enemies, dehumanize opposing forces, and justify their own actions to the public. In this alternate history, the impact of propaganda could have led to increased fear, hatred, and division among nations, potentially escalating tensions and prolonging the war. Misinformation spread through propaganda could have distorted perceptions of reality, making it challenging for people to discern the truth from lies. Furthermore, the use of propaganda could have influenced public morale, shaping attitudes towards the war effort and affecting the willingness of individuals to support military actions. Propaganda could have been employed to glorify victories, downplay losses, and manipulate emotions to maintain public support for the war. Ultimately, in a World War III scenario where propaganda played a significant role, the outcome could have been drastically different. The use of propaganda could have influenced decision-making, military strategies, public sentiment, and international relations, creating a complex web of consequences that could have reshaped the course of history. In the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, one particularly sobering question arises. How would the healthcare system have coped with the casualties of World War III? Imagining a world torn apart by such a catastrophic conflict brings to light the immense challenges that healthcare professionals would have faced in treating the wounded and managing the overwhelming number of casualties. In a scenario where a global conflict of such magnitude unfolds, the healthcare system would have been pushed to its limits, testing its capacity, resources, and resilience like never before. Hospitals and medical facilities would have been inundated with injured soldiers and civilians, leading to a strain on resources such as medical supplies, equipment, and personnel. The sheer scale of casualties resulting from World War III would have required a massive mobilization of healthcare workers, including doctors, nurses, and support staff, to provide care for the wounded and save as many lives as possible. Triaging patients based on the severity of their injuries would have been crucial in ensuring that those in critical condition received immediate attention and treatment. Moreover, the psychological toll of such a devastating conflict on healthcare workers themselves cannot be overlooked. Witnessing the horrors of war up close, dealing with the emotional trauma of losing patients, and working tirelessly under extreme pressure would have taken a significant toll on the mental health and well-being of those on the front lines of healthcare. In a world grappling with the aftermath of World War III, the resilience and adaptability of the healthcare system would have been put to the ultimate test. Innovations in medical technology and advancements in emergency response protocols would have been essential in saving lives and mitigating the impact of the conflict on public health. The healthcare system would have had to evolve rapidly to meet the unprecedented challenges posed by a global war, emphasizing the importance of preparedness, cooperation, and innovation in times of crisis. Contemplating the potential scenarios and implications of how the healthcare system would have coped with the casualties of World War III serves as a stark reminder of the critical role that healthcare professionals play in times of conflict and crisis. It underscores the need for ongoing investment in healthcare infrastructure, training, and disaster preparedness to ensure that, in the face of adversity, our healthcare system remains steadfast in its commitment to saving lives and providing compassionate care to those in need. World War III, a hypothetical conflict that sparks curiosity and contemplation in many minds. As we delve into the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, envisioning the aftermath of such a global catastrophe can be both intriguing and chilling. One cannot help but ponder how the cultural landscape would have shifted in the wake of World War III. The impact of such a monumental event on art, literature, music, and societal norms would undoubtedly be profound. In a world ravaged by the flames of war, creativity often finds a way to flourish amidst chaos. Artists would likely channel their experiences and emotions into their work, reflecting the turmoil and devastation of the conflict. Themes of resilience, survival, and the human spirit persevering against all odds would dominate the artistic narrative. The art produced during this time would serve as a poignant reminder of the fragility of peace and the resilience of humanity. Similarly, literature would undergo a transformation, with authors exploring themes of conflict, loss, and rebuilding society from the ashes. Dystopian narratives might become more prevalent, offering a stark portrayal of a world torn apart by war and its aftermath. On the other hand, utopian visions could also emerge, envisioning a future where humanity learns from its past mistakes and creates a more harmonious world. Music, often a reflection of the prevailing emotions of society, would take on a somber tone in the aftermath of World War III. Ballads of loss and longing, anthems of hope and unity, and protest songs against the horrors of war would echo through the cultural landscape. Musicians would use their platform to advocate for peace, healing, and reconciliation, using their art to inspire change and foster understanding. Societal norms and values would undergo a seismic shift in the aftermath of such a catastrophic event. The collective trauma of World War III would prompt a reevaluation of priorities, fostering a greater sense of global interconnectedness and empathy. Communities would come together to rebuild, support one another, and strive for a more peaceful and sustainable future. In conclusion, the cultural landscape following World War III would be marked by a profound sense of reflection, resilience, and renewal. Artists, writers, musicians, and society as a whole would grapple with the aftermath of the conflict, using creativity and collaboration to pave a path towards healing and hope. The scars of war would run deep, but so too would the indomitable spirit of humanity, ever striving for a better tomorrow. World War III, a hypothetical global conflict that never came to pass, could have had profound effects on the education system if it had occurred. The aftermath of such a devastating war would have likely led to major disruptions in the availability of resources, infrastructure, and stability necessary for a functioning educational system. Schools and universities could have been destroyed or repurposed for other uses, leaving students without access to formal education. In the wake of World War III, educational priorities may have shifted dramatically. With countries focusing on rebuilding and recovery efforts, investments in education could have taken a back seat to more immediate concerns such as infrastructure, healthcare, and security. This could have resulted in a lack of funding for schools, leading to overcrowded classrooms, outdated materials, and limited opportunities for students to pursue higher education. Furthermore, the curriculum and teaching methods in schools may have been significantly altered in response to the new geopolitical landscape shaped by the war. Educators might have emphasized subjects related to conflict resolution, global cooperation, and the consequences of war in an effort to prevent future conflicts. History lessons could have been revised to include the events leading up to World War III and the impact it had on societies around the world. In addition, the mental health and well-being of students and educators could have been deeply affected by the trauma and loss experienced during the war. Schools may have needed to prioritize mental health support services and counseling to help individuals cope with the emotional aftermath of the conflict. The education system could have played a crucial role in promoting healing, resilience, and unity in the face of such a catastrophic event. Overall, the hypothetical scenario of World War III serves as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of global conflicts on every aspect of society, including education. While we can only speculate on the exact outcomes, it is clear that such a catastrophic event would have had far-reaching implications for the future of learning and knowledge dissemination. World War III is a hypothetical scenario that sparks curiosity and speculation about its potential impact on various aspects of our world, including the global food supply. In considering this what-if scenario, it becomes clear that such a large-scale conflict would undoubtedly disrupt food production, distribution, and availability on a global scale. The devastation caused by World War III would likely lead to widespread destruction of agricultural infrastructure, farmland, and food processing facilities. The escalation of hostilities and the deployment of advanced weaponry could result in the contamination of soil and water sources, making it challenging to grow crops and raise livestock in many regions. Additionally, the displacement of populations, destruction of transportation networks, and disruption of trade routes would severely hamper the distribution of food supplies to areas in need. Furthermore, the diversion of resources towards military efforts during World War III would divert attention and funding away from agricultural development and food security initiatives, exacerbating the food crisis. In such a grim scenario, hunger and malnutrition would become rampant, leading to a humanitarian catastrophe of unprecedented proportions. The aftermath of World War III would necessitate a coordinated global effort to rebuild agricultural systems, restore food production capabilities, and ensure equitable access to food resources for all affected populations. International cooperation and support would be crucial in addressing the challenges posed by the decimation of food supplies in the wake of such a catastrophic conflict. In conclusion, World War III would have a profound and far-reaching impact on the global food supply, highlighting the importance of conflict prevention, peace-building, and sustainable food systems in safeguarding the well-being of humanity in an uncertain world. Imagine a world where World War III came to a dramatic end, leaving the balance of power drastically altered. This alternate history scenario offers a fascinating glimpse into a future shaped by the aftermath of a global conflict. With the dust settling on the battlefield, major world powers would have risen and fallen, reshaping political dynamics and alliances on a global scale. The conclusion of World War III would have undoubtedly led to the decline of traditional superpowers, creating space for emerging nations to assert their influence on the world stage. New alliances would be forged, old rivalries reignited, and geopolitical landscapes redrawn as nations scrambled to secure their positions in the new world order. In this alternate reality, military capabilities, economic strength, and technological advancements would play a crucial role in determining which countries rose to prominence and which faded into obscurity. The balance of power would shift as nations leveraged their strengths to gain strategic advantages and safeguard their interests in a post-war world. Moreover, The aftermath of World War III would bring about profound social and cultural changes as populations grappled with the scars of conflict and rebuilt their societies from the ashes of war. The global community would be forced to reckon with the consequences of their actions, fostering cooperation or breeding further discord among nations. Overall, the balance of power after World War III would be a delicate equilibrium, shaped by the decisions and actions of key players in the international arena. As the world navigated the uncertainties of a post-war landscape, the future would be defined by the choices made in the wake of destruction, offering both challenges and opportunities for nations seeking to secure their place in a rapidly changing world. In the aftermath of World War III, the global community faced the monumental task of coordinating reconstruction efforts on a scale never seen before. With vast destruction and widespread devastation to contend with, the need for a unified and collaborative approach was paramount. Governments, international organizations, and non-governmental groups had to come together to strategize and prioritize rebuilding initiatives. One key aspect of coordinating reconstruction efforts after World War III would have been establishing clear communication channels among all stakeholders involved. Efficient communication would have been crucial to ensure that resources were allocated effectively, projects were implemented in a timely manner, and progress was monitored and evaluated consistently. Regular meetings, forums, and digital platforms would have likely been used to facilitate information sharing and decision-making. Another critical aspect of coordinating post-war reconstruction efforts would have been the allocation of resources. Given the scale of destruction, there would have been a pressing need to mobilize financial assistance, humanitarian aid, and technical expertise to support rebuilding initiatives. Donor conferences, fundraising campaigns, and resource-sharing agreements would have likely been organized to ensure that the necessary resources were made available to support reconstruction projects in the most affected areas. Moreover, coordination efforts would have also focused on setting clear goals and priorities for reconstruction projects. Identifying key areas for intervention, such as infrastructure repair, housing reconstruction, healthcare services, and education facilities, would have been essential to ensure that resources were directed towards the most urgent needs. Establishing timelines, benchmarks, and accountability mechanisms would have helped track progress and address any bottlenecks or challenges that arose during the reconstruction process. In addition, international cooperation and partnerships would have played a crucial role in coordinating reconstruction efforts after World War III. Collaborating with neighboring countries, regional organizations, and global partners would have allowed for the pooling of resources, expertise, and best practices to support the reconstruction process. Joint initiatives, capacity-building programs, and knowledge-sharing platforms would have facilitated a more coordinated and sustainable approach to rebuilding post-war societies. Overall, the coordination of reconstruction efforts after World War III would have required a comprehensive and inclusive approach that brought together diverse stakeholders, resources, and expertise to address the complex challenges of rebuilding in the wake of conflict. By prioritizing communication, resource allocation, goal setting, and international cooperation, the global community could have worked towards a more resilient, equitable, and peaceful future for all those affected by the devastating consequences of war. After World War III, the international community faced the daunting task of preventing future conflicts and ensuring global stability. One approach that could have been taken is the establishment of a new world order based on cooperation and mutual understanding. This could involve the creation of a global organization dedicated to conflict resolution and peacekeeping, similar to the United Nations, but with enhanced powers and resources. Furthermore, countries could have worked towards disarmament and arms control agreements to reduce the risk of another devastating conflict. This would involve strict regulations on the production and distribution of weapons, as well as international oversight to ensure compliance. Diplomacy and dialogue would have been crucial in building trust and fostering positive relationships between nations. Multilateral negotiations and mediation could have been used to address underlying tensions and grievances that could potentially lead to conflict. Economic cooperation and development could also play a significant role in preventing future conflicts. By promoting trade, investment, and economic integration, countries could strengthen their interdependence and reduce the incentives for aggression. Overall, a concerted effort by the international community to promote peace, cooperation, and understanding would have been essential in preventing future conflicts after the devastation of World War III. When exploring the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, considering the psychological impact of a hypothetical World War III is crucial. In such a scenario, the world would have been thrust into a state of chaos and uncertainty, with global populations facing unprecedented levels of fear, anxiety, and trauma. The psychological effects of such a catastrophic event would have been profound and far-reaching, impacting individuals, communities, and entire nations. Mental health issues such as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and anxiety would have likely been widespread among survivors of World War III. The loss of loved ones, the destruction of homes and communities, and the constant threat of violence and danger would have taken a heavy toll on the psychological well-being of those affected. Governments and organizations would have had to mobilize quickly to provide mental health support and resources to help individuals cope with the trauma and uncertainty of the post-war world. Furthermore, the psychological impact of World War III would have extended beyond just the immediate survivors. Future generations would have also grappled with the emotional scars left by such a devastating conflict, shaping their worldview and relationships in profound ways. Addressing the psychological fallout of World War III would have been a monumental challenge, requiring a comprehensive and compassionate approach to supporting individuals and rebuilding communities in the aftermath of unimaginable tragedy. In considering the psychological impact of World War III in an alternate history context, it becomes clear that such a scenario would have left a lasting legacy of trauma and resilience, shaping the course of human history for generations to come. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of prioritizing mental health and well-being in times of crisis and conflict, underscoring the need for compassion, understanding, and support in the face of adversity. In the aftermath of World War III, the task of rebuilding infrastructure would have been a monumental challenge. With widespread destruction of cities, transportation networks, communication systems, and essential services, the focus would have been on restoring basic necessities for the survival of the population. Countries would have had to prioritize the reconstruction of critical infrastructure, such as water and sanitation facilities, power plants, hospitals, and transportation hubs. Efforts to rebuild infrastructure would have been complicated by the scarcity of resources, disruption in supply chains, and the need to address the psychological and emotional trauma experienced by survivors. Governments and international organizations would have played a crucial role in coordinating relief efforts, mobilizing resources, and providing aid to affected regions. In a world grappling with the aftermath of World War III, innovative approaches to infrastructure rebuilding would have emerged. Technologies such as advanced construction methods, renewable energy sources, and smart infrastructure systems would have been leveraged to create more resilient and sustainable cities. Collaboration between nations, sharing of expertise, and mutual assistance would have been key in accelerating the reconstruction process. Despite the immense challenges, the rebuilding of infrastructure in the aftermath of World War III would have presented an opportunity to reimagine urban planning, transportation systems, and communication networks. The focus would have been on creating a more interconnected, inclusive, and resilient society that could withstand future threats and challenges. Following World War III, the political landscape of the world would have undergone a massive transformation. With the devastation caused by such a catastrophic event, countries would have to rebuild and redefine their relationships with one another. The power dynamics between nations would shift dramatically, leading to the rise and fall of new global superpowers. Traditional alliances and rivalries might no longer hold the same significance as countries scramble to secure their interests in the aftermath of the war. The United Nations and other international organizations would likely play a crucial role in facilitating peace negotiations and rebuilding efforts. Additionally, the emergence of new leaders and ideologies could reshape the geopolitical map, potentially leading to the formation of new alliances and conflicts. Overall, the aftermath of World War III would mark a turning point in world history, setting the stage for a new era of uncertainty and change in global politics. After World War III, the concept of national sovereignty would have undergone significant changes due to the widespread destruction and reshaping of global power dynamics. In this alternate history scenario, the traditional boundaries and authority of nation-states would be challenged as new alliances, territories, and governing structures emerge in the aftermath of the devastating conflict. One possible outcome could be the rise of supranational organizations or federations that seek to prevent future global conflicts by pooling resources and decision-making authority across multiple countries. These entities may have the power to override individual national sovereignty in certain areas such as security, trade, and environmental regulation to promote stability and cooperation on a global scale. On the other hand, some nations may choose to retreat further into isolationism and fortify their borders in response to the trauma of World War III, leading to increased tensions and competition for resources among countries. This fragmented landscape could result in a more volatile international system where conflicts arise over territorial disputes, ideological differences, and economic interests. Overall, the concept of national sovereignty after World War III would likely be redefined and reimagined as countries grapple with the complexities of rebuilding and forging new relationships in a post-apocalyptic world. The balance between individual autonomy and collective security would be a central theme in shaping the future of global governance and diplomacy in this alternate history scenario. In the aftermath of World War III, military strategists around the world faced the daunting task of reevaluating their approaches and adapting to a new global landscape. The lessons learned from the devastating conflict sparked a wave of innovation and transformation in military planning. One key aspect that would have been heavily emphasized is the need for increased investment in advanced technology and intelligence capabilities. With the rapid advancement of AI, cyber warfare, and unmanned systems during the war, the military would have focused on integrating these cutting-edge technologies into their strategies to gain a decisive advantage on the battlefield. Moreover, the experience of World War III would have underscored the importance of international cooperation and alliances in confronting common threats. Military leaders would have prioritized building stronger partnerships with other nations to enhance information sharing, joint training exercises, and coordinated responses to potential future conflicts. This collaborative approach would have been crucial in deterring aggression and maintaining stability in the post-war world. Additionally, the military would have placed a greater emphasis on strategic deterrence and defense readiness. Having witnessed the catastrophic consequences of unchecked escalation during World War III, military planners would have sought to strengthen deterrence mechanisms to prevent similar large-scale conflicts from erupting in the future. This would involve bolstering defenses, conducting regular assessments of potential threats, and maintaining a high state of readiness to respond swiftly to any emerging challenges. Overall, the military's adaptation to the lessons learned from World War III would have been characterized by a shift towards more agile, technology-driven, and collaborative approaches to security and defense. By incorporating these principles into their strategies, military forces would have been better equipped to navigate the uncertainties of an increasingly complex and interconnected world, ultimately striving to prevent another global conflict from ever occurring again. Imagine a world where World War III had actually taken place, a conflict that reshaped the course of history and forever altered the way nations engaged in warfare. The concept of warfare would have been redefined in numerous ways, adapting to the realities of a post-apocalyptic world. In the aftermath of such a catastrophic event, traditional methods of warfare would likely be significantly transformed. The use of advanced technology, such as drones, cyber warfare, and artificial intelligence, would become even more prevalent as countries sought to gain a strategic advantage without risking the lives of their soldiers. The boundaries between physical and digital battlegrounds would blur, leading to a new era of hybrid warfare, where information and disinformation play a crucial role in shaping conflicts. Moreover, the devastation caused by World War III would force nations to reconsider the ethical implications of warfare. International laws and conventions governing the conduct of war would be reevaluated, with a renewed emphasis on protecting civilians and minimizing collateral damage. The use of weapons of mass destruction could be universally condemned, leading to a global push for disarmament and non-proliferation efforts. Furthermore, the concept of alliances and coalitions would likely undergo a significant shift in a post-World War III world. Countries would be forced to reassess their security partnerships and strategic interests, leading to the formation of new alliances based on shared values and mutual defense agreements. Multilateral organizations like the United Nations would play a crucial role in mediating conflicts and preventing future wars through diplomacy and peacekeeping missions. Overall, the concept of warfare after World War III would be characterized by a complex interplay of technological advancements, ethical considerations, and geopolitical realignments. As nations strive to prevent another global catastrophe, they would be compelled to adopt innovative strategies and cooperation mechanisms to navigate the challenges of a world forever changed by the ravages of war. In the alternate history scenario where World War III breaks out, the global population would undoubtedly respond with shock, fear, and uncertainty. As news of the conflict spreads, people around the world would be glued to their screens, seeking updates and trying to make sense of the rapidly unfolding events. Social media would buzz with speculation, rumors, and a flood of information, both accurate and misleading. Governments would scramble to reassure their citizens and take necessary precautions to ensure their safety. Emergency protocols would be activated, and people would be advised on how to protect themselves in case of attacks or escalating hostilities. The looming threat of a global conflict would cast a dark shadow over communities everywhere, with concerns about the impact on daily life, the economy, and the future of the world at the forefront of everyone's minds. In this alternate reality, the world would be on edge, with tensions running high and uncertainty clouding the future. The specter of World War III would serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of diplomacy, cooperation, and understanding among nations. As people grapple with the reality of a world at war, they would be forced to confront difficult questions about their own beliefs, values, and priorities in the face of unprecedented challenges. The entertainment industry would have been significantly impacted by the events of World War III, leading to a shift in the types of stories being told and the way they are portrayed. Alternate histories and what-if scenarios related to World War III would have become a popular genre in movies, TV shows, books, and video games. Audiences would be drawn to narratives exploring the consequences of different outcomes of the war, imagining how the world could have been shaped if certain events had unfolded differently. Films and television series set in alternate versions of post-World War III worlds would have captured the imagination of viewers, offering dystopian or utopian visions of society. These stories could explore themes of resilience, survival, rebuilding, and the human spirit in the face of catastrophic events. Characters navigating the aftermath of the war, dealing with the loss of loved ones, and struggling to adapt to the new world order would resonate with audiences seeking thought-provoking and emotionally engaging content. In the realm of literature, alternate history novels centered around World War III would have provided authors with a rich tapestry to weave intricate plots and complex characters. Readers would be drawn to these narratives that challenge their perceptions of history and offer compelling what-if scenarios that spark their imagination and curiosity. Video games set in alternate timelines where World War III played out differently would have offered players the opportunity to immerse themselves in interactive storytelling, making choices that influence the outcome of the game world. These games could feature strategic gameplay, ethical dilemmas, and moral choices that reflect the complexities of war and its aftermath. Overall, the entertainment industry's portrayal of World War III in alternate histories and what-if scenarios would have offered audiences a compelling and immersive experience, inviting them to explore different paths that history could have taken and contemplate the enduring impact of such a global conflict on society and individuals. In exploring the alternate history of World War III, one intriguing aspect to consider is how religious institutions would have responded to such a crisis. In times of war and conflict, religion has often played a significant role in shaping individuals' beliefs and actions. It is likely that during a global conflict of such magnitude, various religious institutions would have reacted in diverse ways, reflecting the diversity of beliefs and practices across different faith traditions. Some religious leaders might have advocated for peace and reconciliation, emphasizing the importance of compassion, forgiveness, and understanding in times of crisis. They could have used their platforms to promote dialogue and mediation between warring factions, urging for diplomatic solutions rather than further escalation of violence. On the other hand, certain religious groups might have viewed World War III through a more apocalyptic lens, interpreting the conflict as a sign of the end times or a fulfillment of prophetic scriptures. This perspective could have led to increased fervor and zeal among followers, potentially resulting in heightened tensions and radicalization within certain communities. Additionally, religious institutions may have also been called upon to provide spiritual and emotional support to those affected by the war, including refugees, soldiers, and families who lost loved ones. They could have offered solace, guidance, and a sense of community during a time of profound uncertainty and upheaval. Overall, the response of religious institutions to the crisis of World War III would have likely been multifaceted, reflecting the complexities of human nature, belief systems, and the interplay between faith and world events. It is fascinating to imagine how religion could have influenced the course of history in such a scenario, shaping individuals' decisions and perceptions in profound ways. In the world of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, imagining how the scientific community could have contributed to efforts to end World War III opens up a realm of possibilities. In this hypothetical scenario, scientists from various fields such as physics, chemistry, biology, and engineering could have played crucial roles in bringing about peace during the conflict. One potential avenue for scientific intervention could have been through advanced communication technologies. Imagine if scientists had developed groundbreaking methods for instant and secure communication between warring factions, facilitating dialogue and negotiation to de-escalate tensions. This technological innovation could have helped leaders and diplomats navigate the complexities of international relations and conflict resolution more effectively. Moreover, scientific advancements in the realm of renewable energy and sustainable resources could have provided a strategic advantage in the war-torn world of World War III. By harnessing the power of clean energy sources and implementing environmentally friendly practices, scientists might have been able to offer solutions to resource scarcity and environmental degradation, which are often underlying factors in conflicts. Additionally, the scientific community could have contributed to efforts to end World War III through medical breakthroughs and advancements in healthcare. Imagine if scientists had developed revolutionary treatments for injuries sustained in battle or innovative methods for addressing the mental health challenges faced by soldiers and civilians affected by the war. These advancements could have not only saved lives, but also promoted healing and reconciliation in the aftermath of the conflict. In this alternate history scenario, the scientific community's contributions to ending World War III could have been transformative, offering hope for a more peaceful and sustainable future. By leveraging their expertise and creativity, scientists might have helped to prevent further devastation and pave the way for a world where diplomacy, innovation, and compassion prevail over conflict and destruction. In the aftermath of World War III, the world was left shattered and divided. With so much destruction and loss, the task of rebuilding diplomatic relations between countries seemed daunting. However, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, there were glimmers of hope for a new beginning. many countries recognized the need to set aside past grievances and work towards a more peaceful future. Diplomatic efforts were made to establish communication channels and engage in dialogue to address the root causes of the conflict. International organizations played a crucial role in facilitating these discussions and fostering cooperation among nations. One key aspect of re-establishing diplomatic relations post-World War III was the emphasis on reconciliation and forgiveness. Countries that were once enemies now found themselves in a position where they had to find common ground and form alliances to ensure stability and security in a post-war world. Through strategic diplomacy and negotiation, countries began to slowly rebuild trust and cooperation with one another. Economic partnerships and trade agreements were forged to promote mutual benefit and prosperity. Cultural exchanges and people-to-people interactions also played a vital role in fostering understanding and building bridges between nations. While the road to rebuilding diplomatic relations post-World War III was challenging and fraught with obstacles, the commitment to peace and cooperation prevailed. The lessons learned from the past were not forgotten, serving as a reminder of the importance of diplomacy and dialogue in preventing future conflicts and promoting a more harmonious world. The concept of national identity would have undoubtedly undergone a significant transformation in the aftermath of World War III. With the devastating effects of such a global conflict, countries and societies would have been forced to reimagine and redefine what it means to belong to a nation. The boundaries between nations may have blurred, leading to the emergence of new alliances and unions based on shared values and goals rather than traditional geopolitical divisions. The scars of war would have created a shared sense of loss and resilience among people worldwide, potentially fostering a more unified global identity that transcends individual nationalities. Cultural exchange and cooperation might have become more prevalent as societies sought to rebuild and heal together, leading to a more interconnected and inclusive world. The experience of surviving such a catastrophic event would have likely instilled a sense of common humanity and solidarity among people from different backgrounds, challenging previous notions of national identity based on exclusivity and superiority. Ultimately, the aftermath of World War III could have paved the way for a new era of cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect among nations, reshaping the very foundations of national identity in a more interconnected and interdependent world. Imagine a world where World War III actually happened. The impact of such a catastrophic event on the social fabric of society would be profound. The trauma of a global conflict on a scale never seen before would leave deep scars on the collective consciousness of humanity. Families torn apart, communities devastated, and entire countries left in ruins. The psychological toll of such a traumatic experience would be immense, with widespread feelings of fear, grief, and loss permeating every aspect of society. In the aftermath of World War III, the world would be a very different place. Trust between nations and peoples would be shattered, leading to increased tensions and conflicts. The rebuilding process would be slow and arduous, with resources stretched thin and entire generations scarred by the horrors they had witnessed. The social structures that once held society together would be strained to breaking point, as people struggled to come to terms with the new reality they found themselves in. However, amidst the devastation and despair, there would also be moments of resilience and hope. Communities would come together to support one another, forging new bonds of solidarity in the face of adversity. People would find strength in their shared experiences and a renewed sense of purpose in rebuilding their shattered world. The trauma of World War III would leave a lasting impact on the social fabric of society, but it would also provide an opportunity for humanity to come together and create a better future for themselves and generations to come. World War III, a hypothetical and terrifying scenario that could have altered the course of history in unimaginable ways. If such a catastrophic event had occurred, how would the legal system have adapted to the challenges it presented? The aftermath of World War III would have undoubtedly brought about a myriad of legal dilemmas and complexities that the world had never seen before. With widespread destruction, loss of life, and chaos on a global scale, the legal system would have faced unprecedented challenges in maintaining order and justice. One of the primary concerns would have been the establishment of new laws and regulations to address the unique circumstances brought about by the war. Governments would have had to quickly enact emergency measures to deal with issues such as the protection of basic human rights, the distribution of resources, and the restoration of essential services. Legal frameworks would have needed to be adapted to ensure the swift and fair resolution of disputes arising from the war, such as property rights, compensation for damages, and the prosecution of war crimes. Furthermore, the legal system would have had to grapple with the complexities of international law in the aftermath of World War III. Treaties, alliances, and diplomatic relations would have been severely strained, leading to questions about the validity of existing agreements and the need for new mechanisms to promote peace and cooperation among nations. The enforcement of international law would have been a monumental task, requiring collaboration and coordination on a global scale to hold perpetrators of war crimes and atrocities accountable. Moreover, the legal system would have had to address the challenges posed by the displacement of populations, the breakdown of social structures, and the rise of extremist ideologies in the wake of World War III. Courts and legal institutions would have been overwhelmed with cases related to refugee rights, humanitarian aid, and the prevention of further conflicts. The need for a robust and responsive legal system would have been more critical than ever to ensure stability, security, and justice in a world torn apart by war. In conclusion, the legal system would have faced immense challenges in adapting to the aftermath of World War III. The need for innovative solutions, swift action, and international cooperation would have been paramount to rebuilding a just and peaceful society in the wake of such a devastating conflict. The lessons learned from exploring these what-if scenarios can serve as a reminder of the importance of upholding the rule of law, protecting human rights, and preventing the horrors of war from becoming a reality. Alternate histories and what-if scenarios often explore the fascinating possibilities of how the world could have been shaped differently by key events. In the context of World War III, which is a hypothetical global conflict, one intriguing aspect to consider is how the role of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, could have evolved during such a catastrophic event. In a scenario where World War III breaks out, NGOs would likely find themselves facing unprecedented challenges and opportunities. As traditional government structures become strained or even collapse under the pressures of war, NGOs could step in to provide essential services, humanitarian aid, and support to affected populations. These organizations, known for their flexibility and grassroots connections, would play a crucial role in filling the gaps left by governmental institutions overwhelmed by the demands of war. NGOs specializing in conflict resolution, peace building, and humanitarian assistance would be thrust into the forefront of global efforts to mitigate the impact of the war on civilians, promote dialogue between warring factions, and work towards a sustainable peace. Their ability to operate independently from state interests could make them valuable mediators and advocates for marginalized groups caught in the crossfire of the conflict. Furthermore, in a world torn apart by World War III, NGOs focused on environmental conservation, human rights advocacy, and international development would face new and urgent challenges. The devastation wrought by the war would create massive humanitarian crises, environmental degradation, and human rights abuses on a scale never seen before. NGOs would be at the forefront of efforts to address these complex issues, working to provide relief to affected populations, protect vulnerable communities, and advocate for a more just and equitable post-war world. Overall, the role of NGOs during World War III would likely be transformative, as these organizations adapt to the evolving needs of a world in crisis. Their ability to mobilize resources, expertise, and grassroots support could make them indispensable actors in shaping the course of history and building a more resilient and compassionate global community in the aftermath of the conflict. In the aftermath of World War III, the concept of human rights would have undergone a profound redefinition. With the devastation and chaos caused by the war, societies around the world would have been forced to reconsider and reshape their understanding of fundamental rights and freedoms. The atrocities and widespread violations of human dignity during the conflict would have highlighted the urgent need for a more comprehensive and robust framework to protect individuals from harm and ensure their well-being. Governments, international organizations, and civil society groups would have come together to draft new treaties and agreements aimed at preventing future conflicts and safeguarding human rights in times of crisis. These efforts would have led to the establishment of new institutions and mechanisms dedicated to monitoring, enforcing, and promoting human rights on a global scale. Key principles such as non-discrimination, equality, and the right to peace would have gained greater prominence in the post-World War III world. The international community would have recognized the interconnectedness of human rights and the importance of addressing root causes of conflict, poverty, and inequality to build a more just and peaceful society. Education and awareness campaigns would have played a crucial role in promoting a culture of human rights, ensuring that individuals are informed of their rights and empowered to demand accountability from their governments and other actors. Grassroots movements and advocacy groups would have emerged to advocate for the rights of marginalized communities and hold perpetrators of human rights abuses accountable. Overall, the concept of human rights after World War III would have evolved to prioritize prevention, protection, and accountability, with a renewed focus on building a more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable future for all. World War III, a hypothetical conflict that thankfully never came to pass, has captured the imagination of many in the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios. One intriguing question that arises from contemplating such a catastrophic event is how the education curriculum would have been revised to include the lessons learned from this devastating war. In the aftermath of World War III, it is likely that educational systems around the world would have undergone significant changes to ensure that future generations understand the causes, consequences, and most importantly, the lessons learned from such a global conflict. History classes would have likely placed a greater emphasis on the events leading up to the war, highlighting the political, social, and economic factors that contributed to its outbreak. Lessons on diplomacy, conflict resolution, and the importance of international cooperation would have been integrated into various subjects to emphasize the need for peaceful resolutions to disputes. It is possible that new subjects focusing on global security, nuclear proliferation, and the impacts of modern warfare would have been introduced to provide students with a comprehensive understanding of the complexities of international relations in a post-World War III world. Moreover, the education curriculum may have included case studies and simulations based on the events of the war to allow students to analyze and critically evaluate the decisions made by world leaders and the implications of those decisions. By incorporating these real-world examples into the curriculum, educators would have aimed to foster a deeper understanding of the consequences of war and the importance of conflict prevention and resolution. Overall, the education curriculum following World War III would have likely been reshaped to reflect the harsh realities of global conflict and to instill in students a sense of responsibility towards building a more peaceful and secure world. By learning from the lessons of the past, future generations would have been better equipped to navigate the complexities of international relations and work towards a more peaceful and prosperous future. World War III, an event that thankfully never came to pass, would have undoubtedly brought about significant challenges to the concept of leadership on a global scale. In such a catastrophic scenario, where different nations are engaged in a devastating conflict, the traditional roles and responsibilities of leaders would have been severely tested. The decisions made by political leaders, military commanders, and other key figures would have carried immense weight, impacting the course of the war and the lives of millions. One of the key challenges to leadership during World War III would have been the need to adapt to rapidly changing circumstances. In a conflict of such magnitude, strategies that may have worked in previous wars may not be as effective, requiring leaders to think innovatively and make quick decisions under immense pressure. The ability to think critically and creatively in the face of uncertainty would have been crucial for leaders to navigate the complexities of a global conflict. Moreover, the concept of leadership during World War III would have been challenged by the need for international cooperation and coordination. With multiple nations involved in the conflict, leaders would have had to work together to align their objectives, share resources, and coordinate military actions. Building and maintaining alliances, negotiating treaties, and resolving disputes diplomatically would have been essential skills for leaders to possess in order to secure a favorable outcome for their respective nations. Another significant challenge to leadership during World War III would have been the moral and ethical dilemmas that arise in times of war. Leaders would have been faced with difficult decisions that could have far-reaching consequences, such as whether to use nuclear weapons, how to protect civilian populations, and when to pursue peace negotiations. Balancing the demands of national security with humanitarian concerns would have required leaders to demonstrate empathy, integrity, and a strong sense of ethical responsibility. In conclusion, the concept of leadership would have been put to the ultimate test during World War III, requiring leaders to demonstrate adaptability, cooperation, and ethical decision-making in the face of unprecedented challenges. The ability to inspire trust, rally support, and make sound judgments in times of crisis would have been essential qualities for leaders to possess in order to navigate the complexities of a global conflict and lead their nations towards a sustainable peace. In the midst of World War III, the management of global energy resources would have been a critical factor shaping the course of the conflict. With nations locked in intense battles and facing widespread destruction, the control and allocation of energy sources, such as oil, gas, and electricity, would have played a crucial role in determining the balance of power. As the war raged on, countries would have scrambled to secure access to vital energy supplies to fuel their war machines, sustain their economies, and support their populations. Strategic alliances and conflicts would have emerged over control of key energy-producing regions, leading to heightened tensions and fierce competition among rival factions. In a scenario where World War III unfolded, we can imagine a complex web of energy agreements, trade deals, and resource extraction efforts being orchestrated on a global scale. Nations would have sought to exploit renewable energy sources and develop innovative technologies to reduce their dependence on traditional fossil fuels, all while grappling with the logistical challenges of maintaining energy infrastructure in the midst of widespread warfare. The management of global energy resources during World War III would have posed significant challenges in terms of balancing military priorities with civilian needs, ensuring the sustainability of energy supplies amid widespread destruction, and navigating the complex geopolitics of energy production and distribution. The decisions made in this critical domain would have had far-reaching consequences for the outcome of the conflict and the future of the world in the aftermath of war. As we consider the hypothetical scenario of World War III and its impact on the management of global energy resources, we are reminded of the interconnected nature of modern warfare, geopolitics, and sustainability. The lessons learned from exploring such alternate histories and what-if scenarios can provide valuable insights into the fragility of our energy systems and the importance of strategic planning and cooperation in ensuring a stable and secure energy future for all. World War III, a hypothetical conflict that has been the subject of much speculation and debate in the realm of alternate histories and what-if scenarios, would undoubtedly have had a profound impact on transportation systems worldwide. With the chaos and destruction wrought by such a large-scale conflict, it's likely that key infrastructure such as roads, railways, and airports would have been severely disrupted or even completely destroyed. The ability of nations to maintain and expand their transportation networks would have been hampered by the diversion of resources towards the war effort, leading to delays in repairs and upgrades. In the aftermath of World War III, countries would have faced the monumental task of rebuilding their transportation systems from the ground up. This reconstruction process would have been fraught with challenges, from shortages of materials and skilled labor to the need to navigate the political and economic upheaval resulting from the war. Governments would have had to make difficult decisions about which projects to prioritize and how to allocate limited resources effectively. The transportation landscape in a post-World War III world would likely have looked vastly different from what we are familiar with today. New technologies and innovations may have emerged out of necessity as nations sought to rebuild their networks in a more efficient and resilient manner. The geopolitical realignment resulting from the war could have also led to changes in trade routes and alliances, further reshaping the global per se transportation system. Overall, the disruptions caused by World War III would have had far-reaching consequences for transportation systems, shaping the way people and goods move around the world for years to come. The challenges and opportunities presented by such a scenario offer a fascinating glimpse into what could have been, sparking the imagination of those intrigued by alternate histories and what-if scenarios. In the aftermath of World War III, the redistribution of natural resources would have taken a drastic turn, shaping new alternate histories and what-if scenarios. With the destruction caused by the war, the global landscape of resource availability would have shifted significantly. Countries that were once major resource holders might have found their reserves depleted or destroyed, leading to a scramble for the remaining reserves. In this new world order, nations would have had to reevaluate their priorities and strategies for securing vital resources such as oil, gas, minerals, and water. Some countries may have resorted to aggressive tactics to control and exploit the remaining resources, leading to conflicts and power struggles on a global scale. Other nations might have chosen to collaborate and form alliances to ensure mutual access to essential resources. The aftermath of World War III would have forced countries to innovate and adapt to new resource realities. Alternative energy sources and sustainable practices might have gained prominence as traditional resources dwindled. This shift could have spurred technological advancements and economic transformations, creating new opportunities for growth and development. Overall, the redistribution of natural resources in the aftermath of World War III would have reshaped the geopolitical landscape, influencing the course of history in unexpected ways. The choices made by nations in this critical period would have profound implications for the future of humanity and the planet, setting the stage for a new chapter in the story of civilization. In the aftermath of World War III, in an alternate history scenario, the concept of international cooperation would have faced both immense challenges and unique opportunities for strengthening. The devastation caused by the global conflict may have served as a stark reminder of the catastrophic consequences of division and conflict, prompting nations to prioritize collaboration and unity in rebuilding efforts. One of the key ways in which international cooperation could have been strengthened following such a conflict is through the establishment of new alliances and frameworks aimed at promoting peace, stability, and mutual understanding among nations. Countries that were once enemies during the war may have been compelled to set aside their differences and work together towards common goals such as reconstruction, humanitarian aid, and preventing future conflicts. Moreover, the experience of World War III could have led to a paradigm shift in how nations approach diplomacy and security. The devastating impact of modern warfare, including the use of advanced technologies and weapons of mass destruction, may have compelled countries to prioritize dialogue, conflict resolution, and arms control measures as essential components of international relations. In this alternate history scenario, institutions such as the United Nations, regional organizations, and non-governmental organizations could have played a crucial role in facilitating dialogue and cooperation among nations. Efforts to address global challenges such as climate change, pandemics, terrorism, and economic inequality may have been intensified through collaborative initiatives that transcended traditional geopolitical rivalries. Overall, the concept of international cooperation following World War III, in this hypothetical scenario, would have been characterized by a renewed sense of urgency and commitment to fostering unity, solidarity, and peace among nations. The lessons learned from the horrors of war may have inspired a new era of cooperation and collective action aimed at building a more secure and prosperous world for future generations. Imagine a world where World War III never happened. What if the course of history had taken a different turn, leading to a future where generations were not scarred by the horrors of a global conflict? In this alternate reality, education about the potential devastation of such a war would be crucial in shaping the mindset of future generations. Without the direct experience of World War III, it would be up to educators, historians, and leaders to ensure that the lessons of the past were not forgotten. Through innovative teaching methods, immersive technologies, and interactive experiences, students would be able to learn about the causes, consequences, and human toll of a conflict that never actually occurred. Historical simulations, virtual reality tours of war-torn landscapes, and testimonies from survivors of past conflicts would all play a vital role in bringing the realities of war to life for students. By engaging with these educational tools, future generations would gain a deeper understanding of the importance of diplomacy, conflict resolution, and global cooperation in preventing such catastrophic events. In this alternate history, the focus would not be on glorifying war, but on promoting peace, empathy, and understanding among nations. Through a comprehensive educational approach that values the preservation of peace above all else, future generations would be equipped with the knowledge and skills needed to navigate a world fraught with potential conflicts. By learning from the mistakes and missteps of the past, future generations in this alternate reality would be better prepared to build a more peaceful and prosperous world for themselves and for generations to come. The legacy of World War III, even though it never happened, would serve as a constant reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of working together to prevent the horrors of war from ever becoming a reality. In the aftermath of World War III and the devastation it brought upon the world, the need for expanded mental health services to support survivors became more critical than ever before. The scale of destruction, loss, and trauma experienced during the war left a profound impact on individuals and communities worldwide. Governments and organizations had to quickly mobilize resources and expertise to address the mental health needs of those affected by the war. To support the survivors of World War III, mental health services would have been expanded in various ways. Firstly, there would have been a significant increase in funding allocated to mental health programs and facilities. This would ensure that there are enough resources to provide counseling, therapy, and other forms of support to those in need. Additionally, governments would have worked to destigmatize mental health issues and encourage individuals to seek help without fear of judgment or discrimination. In order to reach a larger number of survivors, telemedicine and online therapy services would have been widely implemented. This would allow individuals to access mental health support remotely, especially in areas where access to in-person services may be limited. Furthermore, there would have been a focus on training and deploying more mental health professionals to provide care in communities that were heavily impacted by the war. Community-based mental health initiatives would have played a crucial role in providing ongoing support to survivors. Support groups, outreach programs, and peer counseling services would have been established to create safe spaces for individuals to share their experiences and receive emotional support from others who have gone through similar challenges. Additionally, efforts would have been made to integrate mental health education and awareness into school-based curricula and public health campaigns to promote resilience and coping strategies. Overall, the expansion of mental health services to support the survivors of World War III would have been a multifaceted effort involving increased funding, destigmatization, technological innovation, professional training, community engagement, and education. By prioritizing the mental well-being of individuals affected by the war, societies could work towards healing, recovery, and rebuilding a more resilient future for all. Amid the devastation of World War III, in the alternate history scenario, technology advancements would have seen a rapid acceleration driven by the urgent need for rebuilding and innovation. The aftermath of such a catastrophic event would have spurred unprecedented levels of collaboration among nations and industries, leading to breakthroughs in various fields. In response to the widespread destruction and loss caused by the war, governments and private sectors would have devoted significant resources to developing resilient infrastructure, advanced weaponry, and cutting-edge communication systems. Scientists and engineers would have been under immense pressure to come up with solutions to address the challenges posed by the aftermath of the conflict. Technological advancements in areas such as renewable energy, artificial intelligence, space exploration, and healthcare would have been prioritized to ensure a more sustainable and secure future for humanity. The need for more efficient and environmentally friendly technologies would have driven innovation in clean energy sources, transportation, and climate change mitigation strategies. Furthermore, the development of advanced surveillance and defense systems would have been crucial to prevent future conflicts and ensure global security. The integration of AI and machine learning in military applications would have revolutionized warfare and intelligence gathering, reshaping the geopolitical landscape in the post-World War III world. Overall, the devastation of World War III would have served as a catalyst for unprecedented technological progress, pushing humanity to new frontiers and shaping a future that balances innovation with ethical considerations. In the aftermath of World War III, the concept of self-defense would have undergone a significant reevaluation. As nations rebuilt and restructured their societies, the devastation caused by the conflict would have forced a re-examination of traditional defense strategies and tactics. With the emergence of new technologies and geopolitical dynamics, the idea of self-defense would have evolved to encompass a broader range of scenarios and threats. One key aspect that would have been reevaluated is the role of preemptive strikes in self-defense. The experience of World War III may have highlighted the dangers of escalating conflicts and the need for more nuanced approaches to deterrence. Governments and military strategists would likely have debated the ethics and effectiveness of preemptive actions, weighing the potential benefits of neutralizing threats before they materialize against the risks of provoking further aggression. Additionally, the concept of self-defense would have expanded beyond just military considerations to encompass a more comprehensive approach to security. With the proliferation of cyber warfare, biological weapons, and other non-traditional threats, defending against these new dangers would have become a central focus for policymakers. Strategies such as investing in cybersecurity, enhancing intelligence capabilities, and strengthening international cooperation would have been prioritized to mitigate the risks posed by these emerging threats. Moreover, the experience of World War III may have also led to a reevaluation of the balance between individual rights and collective security. In the aftermath of a global conflict, questions surrounding surveillance, privacy, and civil liberties would have become more pronounced as governments grappled with ensuring the safety of their citizens while upholding democratic values. The tension between safeguarding personal freedoms and safeguarding the common good would have been a central theme in shaping post-war self-defense policies. Overall, the concept of self-defense after World War III would have been redefined to encompass a more holistic and forward-thinking approach to security. By learning from the lessons of the past and adapting to the new realities of a post-war world, nations would have sought to create a more resilient and sustainable framework for protecting their populations and preserving peace. In exploring alternate histories and what-if scenarios, one intriguing avenue to consider is how global communication networks could have been secured to prevent future conflicts. Imagine a world where early efforts were made to establish robust communication protocols and systems that prioritize transparency, collaboration, and conflict resolution. Instead of communication breakdowns leading to misunderstandings and escalations, nations could have worked together to ensure that information flowed freely and accurately across borders. One possible scenario could involve the early adoption of encryption technologies to safeguard sensitive communications and prevent unauthorized access. By establishing international standards for secure communication channels, countries could have built trust and cooperation in a way that deterred hostile actors from exploiting vulnerabilities in the system. Furthermore, Imagine if global communication networks were designed to prioritize dialogue and diplomacy over rhetoric and saber-rattling. By fostering direct lines of communication between leaders and establishing protocols for crisis communication, the chances of misunderstandings escalating into full-blown conflicts could have been greatly reduced. In this alternate history, institutions like the United Nations and regional organizations could have played a more proactive role in mediating disputes and facilitating dialogue between nations. Through regular summits, joint exercises, and information-sharing initiatives, countries could have built a more resilient and interconnected network that prioritized peace and stability. By investing in early warning systems, cybersecurity measures, and diplomatic initiatives focused on conflict prevention, the global community could have forged a more secure and stable world built on trust, cooperation, and mutual understanding. In this alternate reality, the power of communication to unite rather than divide could have transformed the course of history, paving the way for a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. In the aftermath of World War III, the preservation of democracy would have faced significant challenges and uncertainties. The devastation caused by the war would have fundamentally altered the global political landscape, creating a power vacuum and fostering an environment ripe for authoritarian regimes to rise to power. The very essence of democracy, grounded in the principles of freedom, equality, and representation, would have been put to the ultimate test. Countries that once championed democratic ideals may have been forced to prioritize security and stability over individual liberties in the chaotic aftermath of the war. The need for strong leadership and centralized control to rebuild shattered economies and infrastructure could have led to the erosion of democratic institutions. In such a volatile and uncertain world, the temptation to consolidate power in the hands of a few could have been strong, with leaders using the justification of national security or the greater good to justify curtailing civil liberties and suppressing dissent. However, amidst the ruins of the old world order, there would also have been opportunities for new forms of democracy to emerge. Grassroots movements, fueled by the desire for change and a rejection of authoritarianism, could have gained momentum and pushed for more inclusive and transparent governance structures. Technology and communication tools may have played a crucial role in connecting people and mobilizing them to demand accountability and participation in decision-making processes. The preservation of democracy in the aftermath of World War III would have required a delicate balance between security and freedom, stability, and innovation. It would have demanded a reimagining of traditional democratic norms and practices to adapt to the new realities of a post-apocalyptic world. Ultimately, the survival of democracy would have depended on the resilience and determination of individuals and communities to uphold the values of liberty and justice, even in the face of unimaginable challenges. In exploring what could have been after World War III, one can't help but wonder how the world might have united to prevent such devastation from happening again. In this alternate history scenario, countries around the globe, recognizing the catastrophic consequences of the war, would have come together in unprecedented ways to ensure lasting peace and security. One possible outcome could have been the formation of a strong global alliance, akin to a world government, where nations set aside their differences and worked towards common goals for the betterment of all humanity. This alliance could have established strict protocols and mechanisms for conflict resolution, with a focus on diplomacy and dialogue rather than resorting to military action. Moreover, in a post-World War III world, countries might have prioritized disarmament and demilitarization, redirecting resources and efforts towards rebuilding infrastructure, promoting education, and advancing scientific research for the betterment of society as a whole. International organizations and treaties could have been strengthened to ensure compliance and accountability among nations, fostering a culture of peace and cooperation. Additionally, the devastation of World War III could have served as a stark reminder of the importance of addressing global challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and poverty through collective action. Countries would have been more inclined to work together to find sustainable solutions to these pressing issues, recognizing that the well-being of one nation is interconnected with the prosperity of all. In this alternate reality, the memory of World War III would have served as a catalyst for positive change, inspiring a new era of unity, collaboration, and progress on a global scale. The world would have learned from the mistakes of the past, forging a path towards a future where peace, cooperation, and mutual understanding reign supreme.